Mm. Feels like something's missing.
Sounds like someone's trying to get squashed.
Welcome to the Squash! Hey guys, we're back again for another topic, and today's main topic is about health.
Eating healthy.
Eating healthy food.
We're sick, y'all. We're sick. Look at the world. All this pollution, what's going on in politics, all this stuff. Man, we're sick. It's because our bodies, we gotta work on our bodies, y'all. That's what we're here to talk about.
We're out here eating McDonald's and we should be eating
Squash. We should be eating
Squash.
more squash, yo. It's fall. We gotta eat with the seasons, you know.
Fall
Very
for some
true.
squash, man.
Mm-hmm.
I guess something to start off is just, the obesity. It's basically a pandemic, because, in the United States, I guess we could stay in the United States for now, but because it's an epidemic in the United States.
unhealthy eating habits have contributed to the obesity epidemic in the United States. About 1/3 of U.S. adults, so like 33% of the United States is obese. And
Wait, how much? Can you
One-third.
repeat that for me?
1/3 of the U.S. adults are obese.
1/3. How many people are in this country?
Like
300, over 300 million people.
Like 320 or something.
And
That's a lot. There's
appro-
obviously an issue.
That's too much. What's the problem, guys? What do you think the problem is?
17% of children, so like 12.5 million children and adolescents ages 2 to 19 are obese.
Yeah, so this has been said a lot in like a lot of talks, but diabetes used to be they call it adult onset diabetes. But now children, because only adults got it, this was, I don't know when this was, but this was back in the day. But now children get diabetes, early onset diabetes.
So,
It's makes sense because of all the sugar that's in our diet.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
so much
sugar.
hidden sugar.
yeah, that's the thing about all of this is that obviously we are choosing to some degree, but the environment we're placed in, since the moment we're born, is filled with sugar and processed foods, and our parents are doing their best, but a lot of them are on tight budgets and also like to quickly satisfy their kids, so they get friggin'
Fast food.
fast food
Fast food.
and
Convenience.
yeah, candy. Give your kid a sucker, it'll stop crying,
Yeah.
but it's gonna make them cry more in the future because they're sick.
There's so many other things there's so many things that go along with that. Like, it's not even sugar. I'm gonna diverge for a second. Like, you can also give a kid an iPad nowadays to
Yeah.
distract them and
Yeah,
pacify them for a bit, which is also, that's a whole nother topic with technology.
but food is like entertainment now. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. We
Yeah.
don't eat because we're hungry. We eat because we're bored.
Yeah.
That's
Very true.
so nuts because so many people can't eat. They don't have any access to food, and we're just like, oh, I'm bored. I'm like,
That's exactly how it goes down.
Although, like, we do eat because we're bored, I find myself eating because I'm bored, but I'm also not eating a bunch of junk food.
yeah, that's a big part.
Like,
of
I
it,
find
yeah.
myself eating carrot sticks, celery, just,
yeah, and that's cool.
yeah.
That's stuff you can eat. The whole food we're supposed to be eating, you can eat a lot of that. You can have so much salad. You can eat as much salad as you
Yeah,
want.
there's no limit.
yeah,
There's no limit to how much salad you can eat.
yeah.
It's got the nutrient density
Mhm.
rather than the calories,
Mhm.
which is what people are lacking. We're not lacking in the calories because You know, most of what people are eating nowadays is like flour,
Mm-hmm.
pasta, carbohydrates, just
Oily.
laden, oily, vegetable oil
Mm-hmm.
foods. And so what we're getting is like that instant gratification of being full, but then, you know, you're hungry 1 hour, 2 hours
Yeah.
later because you didn't get, your body's craving nutrients,
Mhm,
not
yeah.
calories.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Yeah.
although with salad you have to be careful because if you put a bunch of salad dressing on it,
Yeah,
That's
it
yeah.
also
can
true.
also become unhealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you gotta get the healthy dressings. Or
Mhm.
suggestion is look at the ingredients. You know, that's something that a lot of people can start to do. That's a solution to. You know, there's sugar in pretty much everything in the middle aisles of the grocery store. You know, depending on the store that you're in.
Yeah, stay on the ends.
Yeah, stay on the outer perimeter. You can stay on the perimeter of the store
Mhm.
where the produce is, the whole real foods. And, you know,
Mhm.
you mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
whole foods. You know, just getting
Yeah.
back to simple like tomato,
Mm-hmm.
a cucumber.
Mhm.
You never see those advertised on television.
No.
Just
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like somebody standing in a room. This is a tomato, and commercial. Like,
It's crazy too.
everybody knows
'cause,
what those are.
Like a good tomato, like from the farm, is so good. It's so good.
A
So much of the
homegrown
time,
tomato.
yeah.
Homegrown tomato.
The only two
We-
things money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
Could have John Denver song playing in the background right now. You hear?
But yeah, like it's fresh, good tomato that's organic. Tastes so good. It's so invigorating, and a lot of time we don't have access to that, so we know store-bought tomatoes that are conventionally grown, and they're kind of watered down. So much of our produce is watered down. So we'll get into that later. 'Cause we were talking about whole foods, but then there's the quality of your whole foods that you're getting.
Speaking of like Whole Foods, like the grocery store, I find it unfortunate that fast food is so cheap,
Mhm.
while healthy food, organic food is like 3 times expensive.
And you know why that is? It's because of subsidies for corn,
Mm-hmm.
soybeans.
Mm-hmm.
So why did I say that? It's so weird. Corn, soybeans,
Yeah.
like those are the huge commodities in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's understandable. You know, there's so many contradicting arguments on what's sustainable, and you know, like conventional farmers will say that this is the only way you can feed this many people in the
Mhm.
world is with these giant fields of like single monocropping. And you know, on some levels it makes sense, but there's that whole other side of the argument with, you know, small plots of land with organic, clean,
You can grow so
sustainable.
much on a small plot
Yeah,
of land.
yeah.
An acre, like, you can grow so much. Even just your tiny garden you have.
Yeah, I mean, we can feed our whole family with that out
Mhm.
there. I mean, and look at what we do on our job on the farm. Like we farm in what 36 acres.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much food there, so much
Mhm.
food, like
So
fresh
for
whole
like 200
produce.
people, and we have on average 5 people working the farm. So what? That we could, if we had more farmers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work,
That's an important thing.
but
Work we need to do. So many of our jobs are kind of like useless to some degree. I don't mean to put people down for that, but one of the number one jobs in America is retail.
Yeah.
Selling new clothes and all these other things that are
consumerism.
kind
it's-
of entertainment, like the food is. We're shopping because we crave some stimulation. It's a lot about getting back to your core and listening to yourself and what you need. Because, like we were saying, how it's like entertainment. It's like what our brain wants, not what our body needs. So and that goes back to the price situation you were saying, how it's cheaper to get fast food. But we also eat way more of that stuff because we eat that and we're not filled up,
Yeah.
because we don't have the nutrients we need from it. So then we eat again and we eat again, we never get full because we're not getting the nutrients we need, so we eat way more of that stuff. I don't do this often, but I can have like a handful of raisins at lunch and be fine that day.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, wake up, just drink a crap ton of water in the morning, and then go to work, and then at work you forget about food. You just do the work, and you get home, and then you can have like a bigger meal if you want, but it doesn't have to be like fast food. But even though that's the most convenient thing, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah, I think we're also kind of scared of produce. Like I was telling you earlier, at the market, you go to the market and you see squash, you see all this stuff, all this raw ingredients, raw peppers, all these things, and we don't know what to do with them. They seem.
Yeah, I mean, you can eat this. This rock solid thing, you can eat this.
It's really good too.
Yeah, but all you have to do is preheat the oven, like 400, 425, depending on your oven. You can cut it in half or stab holes in it, and then just let it roast for like an hour until it gets soft.
It's like a full meal. Put a little salt on that, some coconut oil.
Man.
Hot dog.
It's funny to think though, like we've said this before, like who was the first person to think, can you eat this? Like, like this looks possibly edible.
I mean, if you saw that in the field, it'd definitely catch your eye. If
Yeah,
you hadn't seen it for the first time.
Right. What is that?
That's something right there.
Yeah.
So why should you eat healthy?
Well, just think about way back in the day, like our ancestors. The only reason that we're here is because they were able to survive and pass on their genes to the next generation. And they couldn't have done that if they were sick and unhealthy. Like, hunter-gatherers weren't going to McDonald's. They were lean and like their muscle mass was rock solid, and all they were doing was just being human and surviving in the wild and hunting, walking every day, and sometimes they wouldn't eat for, I don't know, whenever they found food, whenever they hunted an animal or found berries on a bush or leaves they could eat, it was...
Yeah, and that all goes back to the environment we're in. So they were in an environment that promoted that because that was their only option. Now, cheap processed food seems like the best option, and it seems like it's pretty promoted too, because you're talking about the subsidies and all that. But another thing that's interesting, there was this organization, I forget what they were called, but they did a study on the top 30th wealthy countries. 30th? Did I just say that?
Yeah.
30 wealthiest. The 30th. Wealthiest countries, and the U.S. there's all these different parameters for determining how healthy the country was, and the U.S. was one of the lowest ranked on there. And an interesting thing about that was we pay way more, it was twice as much at least, in healthcare costs as those other countries. So we're trying to cure the disease or cure our sickness and not prevent it, because a lot of those other countries, they spent way more money on social services. So that's kind of the environment. What you burping for?
I don't know what that was. Came up Sorry.
You're good. So the point is that we should be promoting in an environment that will allow us to be healthy, so we can prevent this sickness rather than getting all this cheap food and then getting sick and trying to cure that. We end up spending way much more money. Way much more. I'm all over the place today, guys. That's just how I am.
We're working on our linguistic speech.
Yeah, that's kind of a whole nother reason for this. We'll get into that later. We got some stuff to talk about.
I feel like there's so many reasons to be healthy. Because if you're healthy, then you feel good about yourself. Being healthy is its own antidepressant.
Yeah, it is.
So when you're healthy, you feel good. You're eating so much more healthy food, so you have more energy. You're more productive, and you can just do so much more things.
And that goes.
Sorry, I was about to go right into gut health here. Because you talked about
I'm more
happiness.
about to say environment, but yeah, definitely gut is a big part of all this. But yeah, the environment we're in, it's like we were saying, they don't want us to be healthy, so then they can try to cure us, and we spend a bunch of money on that. But they make us feel not whole.
Mhm.
So then we keep trying to be whole. Because if we don't feel whole, then we want to consume, whether it's going to buy new clothes or getting food that you can jam down your throat. So once you are healthy, then you feel whole. That's what feeling healthy is. You feel vital and you don't need anything else. You're good as you are.
Yeah.
But our environment doesn't. In like this capitalistic society, we don't want that because we feel whole, and then we stop buying, and that's kind of not the point. So all these commercials and stuff are making us feel like we're lacking, and then they provide the solution with this delicious new fresh bacon cheeseburger with 3 times as much bacon and double the cheese. And you're like, yo, that sounds pretty good, but it just makes you forget you're already whole now. Like, we are whole now. Yeah, and that's kind of so we have this disconnect between body and brain, and then that goes into our gut health, like you wanted to get into.
Yeah. Like you mentioned happiness, it's like an antidepressant. I mean, to put it simply, everything starts in the gut. In this little puppy right here, like everything starts in here. Because that's where you digest food, that's where you assimilate your food, that's where the nutrients are broken down into their most simplest parts to become you. Literally to become your body, your blood, your skin, your cells, your hair, your thoughts even, like your brain. Like that's where it all starts, is the gut.
You said your thoughts. We have such a big disconnect between our body's health and our mind's health, but they're super connected. If your body is unhealthy, that directly is linked to how you think.
I mean, health experts call this your second brain. They literally call it your second brain. I mean, so much is going on in here. I mean, we have the ratio for like bacteria to our own skin cells. It might have changed, but I'm pretty sure it's like a 1 to 10 ratio, which is insane. Because
Like 10 for bacteria?
Yeah.
So
there's so much more
living
bacteria
beings in us
and
than
on
there
us.
are that make us.
Like, we have like trillions of cells. Like our body is made up of trillions of cells. That's like almost an unfathomable number. Now just think about the bacteria. It's even more than that. So, but these bacteria work with us in like a symbiotic relationship. So in our guts, most of the bacteria, like, okay, what is it? The bacteria in our stomach actually is a part of our immune system, and most of it, I think it's like a huge portion is in the colon, and most of it's in the colon. But I'm just keep like rubbing my stomach while I'm talking about this. It's all about this right here. But yeah, so like 90% of our serotonin is produced. Over 90% of our serotonin is produced in our gut from the gut bacteria, and I'm pretty sure it's all it is a byproduct of the processes that they're doing. Like we feed the gut bacteria. They break down a lot of the foods that we eat. Like let's say onions. Onions is a prebiotic. I'm getting really into like the nutrition here. Onions is a prebiotic, which is like something that we can't digest without the gut bacteria. So they break it down, and as a byproduct, they create things that our body can use.
Wow.
They don't use some of those things, but they create things that we can use. So it's not like that they are there to do it for us. It's just a byproduct of what they're already doing.
It's like trees to the earth, like
Yeah.
sucking up carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's such a symbiotic relationship with
Yeah, that's
everything.
cool.
It's so amazing. Like our bodies are so, we don't even understand most of what's going on in there.
Mhm.
'Cause it's such a complex relationship. Like, they don't know how the bacteria communicates with your brain.
Mhm.
They think that the blood is like the most viable
Mhm.
like theory, just because it travels everywhere and you need it for every process, but for most processes.
So if our gut knows what we need, it knows what it needs as our second brain. Um, why do you think we continue to eat food that we don't need? We think we need it, but we don't. Why does that happen?
Well, it's like addiction. It's like cravings.
Mhm.
I mean, most of the food that we're eating has sugar in it, white sugar, which is addicting.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, our brains evolved to want convenience and to do the easiest thing possible.
Mhm.
And that's an energy source.
Mhm.
We're still our brains are still primitive. So if you eat sugar, your brain is like, give me more of that,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
that's an energy source
Mhm.
you can use to like get away from a tiger, or
Yeah,
to be
whatever.
stored for for later fat use.
Mhm.
And it's there's studies been done, like, if you compare cocaine to sugar, like MRIs of the brain, scans of the brain show that cocaine lights up like one part of the brain. Sugar lights up like more parts of the brain
Wow.
than
It's
cocaine.
like, whoa.
I mean, it's really addicting.
And,
You get a freaking high from it.
Yeah, at Topgolf they have donut holes you can order, and you get a
Oh,
basket of
Yeah.
donut
You
holes.
get the little injector.
Yeah, you get a basket of donut holes.
I want you
and-
to explain this
Yes,
to them.
yes, they need to know. Okay, so it's a basket of donut holes. They're really good, not healthy, taste good. It's one of those addicting things. Don't recommend doing it. I'm gonna tell you about it. And then behind your basket of donut holes, you get a tray of syringes. These syringes, these syringes are filled with vanilla
Chocolate,
frosting,
yeah.
chocolate. I believe there's
Jelly.
a jelly. Yeah. So all these sugary things that you jam into the donut hole and then you put it back. So
I mean-
yeah, it's very directly a drug. They're not hiding it. It's a drug.
Did you see how all of us like lit up when we started talking about donuts?
Mhm.
We were all just like, "Oh, let us tell you about donuts and injecting that." Like, that sounds like an addiction,
Yeah,
does
yeah.
it not? Like,
Yeah.
Put the syringe.
yeah,
in my
just
arm.
like put the
We
jelly
should-
syringe
we
in the.
fiend for it. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's great. I mean, it's literally it's it's literally like evolution.
Mhm.
A lot of it is,
Mhm.
but it's also a product of modern science and
Mhm.
being able to extract like the fructose from fruit and like sugar beets. That's
Yeah,
where
yeah.
like white sugar comes from, is sugar beets.
Mhm. Yeah, I was reading this book, The Hungry Brain, and it was talking about how in the past, a brain that was hungry for calories was a good thing. Like you were saying, you could, if you had an option to eat a lot of stuff, it was good because you could stock up and you wouldn't know when you were going to eat the next time, so you would have that reserve energy. But now we're in an environment where we're surrounded by calories, so now it's
Yeah.
really dangerous for us because we think it's good. Like, oh,
Yeah,
we
our
think
brains think it's good.
yeah, so we just overdo it, and then we feel heavy and sad. Want a little more.
I mean, it's really interesting. Like, I've told this to you before, but after like eating a lot more healthy foods and incorporating that lifestyle and not eating white sugar, like pretty much at all, or a lot less of it, you find that going, like, if you, let's say you do this for a long time, like, say a year, and then you go on vacation and you visit family where maybe you don't have a lot of access to the foods that you're used to eating now, like the whole foods. You go back to eating how you used to eat, you will feel a huge difference if you
Mhm.
go back to eating how you used to eat for a week.
Mhm.
You will, like, I swear, I love my grandparents, but I went to their house in North Dakota, and went back to eating for a bit, like, because I felt bad because they were making all this food, and I was like, I can't just not eat their food.
Yeah, that's such a hard thing when you're offered food. It's like,
Yeah, and some of they would make corn chowder soup, and I would look at the label of the corn, and it wasn't just corn, it was corn. No, the first ingredient on the corn can was sugar.
what?
Oh
Before
my
corn?
God.
Before corn, it was sugar, corn, and corn syrup that was
Oh
in
my
this
gosh.
in this can of
Oh my
corn.
God.
Oh my gosh.
And then
Corn's so sweet by itself.
I know, I was like, what?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I swear, like, in that week, I started getting shoulder pain again. Like, my shoulders got tight. I was getting massive migraines.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I had to take I was in
Mhm.
so much pain. I was just like, I can't believe how I feel
Yeah.
from going back to how this food.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you change, like, easy, not like drastic, like going straight from sugar foods to healthy foods, like
Yeah.
like easy transitions that you can do to keep yourself healthy.
So, a lot of people think that when you start being healthy, you just have to start
Yeah.
like cutting everything out.
Mm-hmm.
A better way to look at it, or an easier way to look at it, is just start crowding out the unhealthy foods. Just start adding in a bunch more of the good
Yeah.
stuff.
Focus on adding in the good stuff more than
Yeah.
taking out the bad stuff.
And like wean off of the stuff.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned with the mucusless diet, it's not about like just quitting cold turkey, because then you're obviously gonna have like withdrawal symptoms of like, oh, I need to eat that sugary treat. It's
Mhm.
like start incorporating one new vegetable into your lifestyle. Like
Mhm.
go out and buy
Broccoli.
experiment with broccoli. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
easy. And
Mhm.
try having
Another
a
thing-
salad every day.
Yeah,
One thing I've done is it's been like a year or two, like I just like haven't drinking like soda.
Yeah.
Nice,
That
yeah.
can make a drastic change.
Soda is like
Cut it out.
it's straight.
Cut it out.
It's straight
Yeah.
cocaine. It's like that's what it is. I
Yeah.
mean, it's worse than cocaine. I mean,
And it's interesting too, the norm that's created, like you were just talking about, eating healthy for a while and going back. Like before we started eating healthy, we're kind of in this norm of numbness to a certain degree. So our discomfort is so regular to us that we kind of put it aside. Like being tired, being heavy, and being hungry often and having cravings. That's so normal to
Yeah.
us that
you don't know the difference
Yeah,
between
you don't.
vitality and being heavy. Like,
and then it goes to with the environment, what we were talking about earlier. They feed that to us, that not feeling whole, and they make that normal through commercials and all this stuff. Like, oh, are you tired? And when you get up, you just don't feel like starting the day. Like 5 hour energy, here you go.
yeah, like
Yeah.
that is a perfect example.
Mhm.
Like, we should be as humans, we should be vital. Like, that's our right to be healthy and vital. I mean,
It's our natural state.
it's our natural state.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at our ancestors. They had to hunt and gather every day to survive.
Mhm.
If they weren't vital, we wouldn't be here. Plain and simple.
Hunting and gathering reminds me of the activity part of it, and I do think health is more attributed to what we consume than our level of activity, but that is a key role in being vital. Is not, if you have an office job, you're sitting in your office all the time, but not only doing that thing, also getting some exercise and getting your blood to flow.
Yeah.
That's what we are. We're like this flowing electricity.
Yeah.
We need to flow.
Our bodies were built to move. I mean, we have such supple wrists and
Mhm.
mobility, but like think about, as we get older, or the norm now is as we get older. I mean, this does happen like biologically, you have less collagen, but you can help mitigate the loss of that just through the foods that you eat. Mitigate the loss of, brain cells, mitigate the loss of mobility just
Mhm.
by the foods you eat, because
Mhm.
that's what they do. They supply you with those benefits
Mhm.
that help reduce that.
Yeah.
But something else I want to add is, we're not like forcing people to change or like forcing people to eat this way, because everybody has the right to, you know, do what they want. But it's just, we're trying to show people the implications of why it's important. You know, you don't have to suffer through the last half of your life, you know, because a lot of people, like I was just listening to this one talk the other day about, you know, this couple who went to their 50th class reunion, and a lot of the discussions among people was the different medications that they were on and the different, you know, the canes and walkers that they had. Like, that doesn't have to be
over
a
half
thing.
over half the population is prescribed some kind of medication, whether it's for anxiety, depression, whatever it is. We're on pills because we're sick.
Like, I mean, now modern medicine has its place for severe cases, you know, for like trauma and you know, possible, you know, really bad diseases that antibiotics can save your life if they need to. But it shouldn't be your first line of defense. But you know, with every antibiotic you take, you should be taking a probiotic, because the term antibiotic is literally like anti-life. Like, it kills your microbiome, pretty much, the gut bacteria, which is so vital for health.
It kills the bad, but it also kills the good, so it kind of weakens you.
Yeah.
It's important, and another reason to share it is, like you were saying, it's not like telling people what to do, but we all want to feel that vitality, and that's why we do the things we do. We eat the cheesy puffs because we want to feel good.
Yeah.
But you can eat good food, and you can have that feeling all the time. It's like when you're like blasting a song too, or something that's just like stimulating you in the right way, and you're just vibing. Like, you can be vibing all the time if you eat food that vibes. We eat dead food, and that makes us feel dead. We feel low energy, and it doesn't have to be like that. Like, you can feel good all the time.
Like we mentioned in one of our previous podcasts, is that you have the option to be healthy. Especially in this country, not everywhere. I mean, in some countries you only have the option to be healthy. Like, even like more like poverty-stricken areas, like let's just say Africa, a lot of those areas, they only have access to the wild foods and, you know, free-range chicken that are just walking around laying eggs that are healthier than conventional chickens that are fed antibiotics and hormones and fed grain, not their natural diet, which makes them sick. So it's like, it's just, yeah, some areas are just more set up for that, even though it's like, you know, they're poverty stricken or something.
And again, it goes back to environment, like you were just saying. Our culture, our system is profit driven. So if we feel whole, we stop buying these things. So these companies and these people who are providing the food, most of them want us to come back for their food. They want us to eat a chip and then eat another chip and then eat another chip. They don't want us to stop eating chips. So they care more for your money. Sadly, they care more for your money than for you. So we have to step up as people and care for ourselves. No one's going to care about you as much as you. So it's up to us to care about ourselves and to tune into our bodies and figure out what we need to be vital. Because if you're only using external information, looking at these commercials and driving past all these fast food places and only using that and disregarding how you feel, you're gonna feel shitty all the time. It's samsara, the cycle of suffering. You're gonna keep going down that. So something I think we need to do is tune into ourselves more.
Symptoms.
And something.
Symptoms are just signals. Your body's trying to tell you something. You know, if your head hurts, that's a signal. You know, it's not like, oh, you know, so many things like that adults have nowadays, like indigestion.
Mhm.
That's a signal
Mhm.
that something's not digesting
Yeah.
right.
And it goes back to the norm. That's just normal now.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I gotta take
It's like,
this
oh, I'm
pill.
just old. I have indigestion.
Yeah,
that just
that's-
comes with
that's
age.
amazing.
No, you probably have leaky gut syndrome,
Mhm.
and you can heal that through proper food. Like, like
Mhm.
nutrition.
Because if you eat all this bad food later on, you're gonna get all these diseases.
Yeah.
Like, what's the number one killer in the
Heart
US?
disease.
Heart disease.
Number
That is
one.
so preventable.
Mhm.
It's absolutely preventable.
I wonder what that is. I think I read in this book that 200,000 people across the globe die from obesity, different diseases from obesity, and that's more than the amount of people who die from war every year from something that's so preventable. And it's also something we don't talk about enough. There are a lot of people becoming more aware of health and all that. It is becoming a conversation that's brought to the surface, but that's why we're doing this, is to bring it to the surface
Yeah.
more, because it's making us suffer. We're dying. We're killing ourselves.
Yeah.
There's so
And
many.
Literally,
it's
like,
so unnecessary.
It's hard to swallow sometimes,
Mhm.
but as a species, we are killing ourselves with the
Mhm.
food that we're eating.
Mhm.
It's just the way it is.
If you just eat healthy, you can prevent like some types of cancers,
Yeah.
type 2 diabetes,
Mhm.
stroke, heart disease.
Pretty much every disease.
Yeah, pretty much every
So many
disease.
doctors have said that every disease is.
Yeah.
preventable.
I mean, yeah.
Through
We're
diet.
set up. Our medical system is set up right now for curing, like you said earlier, not for prevention.
Mhm.
Like, it starts in childhood. What the baby eats. I mean, it's crazy how connected it is. Like, through generations too. Like, before a child is even born, what the mother is eating.
Mhm.
Like, during
Affects.
conception, like
Mhm.
the microbiome affects that baby.
Mhm.
And when that baby is born, that the mother's microbiome is what inhabits the baby's microbiome.
Mhm.
So it could already be set up for poor health, because that's where a majority of it's like 70% of our immune system is
Mhm.
is in our gut,
Mhm.
is in our among those bacteria.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay,
Yeah,
I know. Isn't that crazy? Like, so it's cumulative over generations.
Mhm.
So just think about the implications for that. Like, you start with a healthy person. Then over a lifetime they eat poorly.
Yeah.
They become an adult. They have a kid. That kid gets that microbiome. Then they're raised on a poor diet. Then their children gets that microbiome.
Yeah.
It's just it's literally like a
Downward
degrading
spiral.
spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah. The implications are huge. Like,
And the transference of energy is really cool. It's like picturing a baby like becoming
So
alive
yeah,
in
isn't that
the
amazing?
womb.
Like,
But also that's a super direct link. But at the beginning of the podcast, I mentioned how just the state of the world with all the pollution we're creating and all this, the divide between people, this hate that we see, which I think is made up in the media a lot more than is actually real, because you sit down and talk to people and most people are pretty chill.
yeah, it's all exacerbated by the media.
Yeah, but it's this transfer of energy that's happening between us. So you were talking about a direct link. Mom eats crappy food and that affects the baby, but it also affects how she's interacting with the world around her. So
Yeah.
if she's unhealthy or if we're unhealthy, we're gonna act in a way that's not appropriate to our environment. So that's why I think all this pollution, and honestly I think even Trump being president is like a manifestation of all of our collective sickness. It's not because like a few people, it's all of us in the way we are, how we act too much on our emotion, which can be related to food again, with eating sugar and our brain activities like going up and down really fast. It's all so linked, and it's when you boil it down, it's back to our individual health. And we add up, like, we're forces of energy, and we're we're part of the environment. I think that's something we forget so much is we separate ourselves like, man, all that stuff's crazy over there. But we're a part of it. We're
Yeah.
connected to it. So if we're unhealthy, we're contributing to the madness. So we can become healthy, and it reverses that.
Yeah.
And you become more aware. When you become healthier, your environment, everyone around you, you'll notice will start to become healthier too. And that's such an empowering thing, because I think
Yeah.
that's something we all kind of long for, is helping other people. Like, we all want to do that when we're healed, but so much of us are sick, and we're unknowingly adding to the sickness of
Yeah.
everyone else.
It's like a lot of people just kind of are on default, you know. Like we mentioned before in our other podcasts, like just the conventional lifestyle. Podcast. In our first podcast. Check it out. But like the conventional lifestyle and how, you know, you're on default, you get a job, go to work every day. It's just there's just this weird, like, people think that there's this blueprint for how life should be and how that's just the way things are. Like, you know, you go to work, you go home, you eat dinner, and you do it
You
over
feel
again.
shitty
You
all
feel
the
shitty all the
time.
time. You know, you're always down in the dumps and like playing the victim. Like this is just how things are. Like, no, you can change it whenever you want to.
Yeah.
Like, especially in this country, we have all the resources, opportunities. Like, that's one cool thing about capitalism. Like, is you can, if you decide to work hard, then you can literally do whatever you want in this country. You can, not whatever you want, but hard work in this country pays off. And, you know, there is a lot of hard work that has to be done in the future. And right now, the future is now. Like, because we're already on a downward spiral. And
When simply treating yourself right, it's kind of the same as working hard towards something you want. Treating yourself right. If you want to help other people or heal other people, you have to heal yourself and be like, forgive yourself if you've gone down the downward spiral, because like we've talked about over and over today, is that so much of it is based off our environment. So it's not totally our fault. We're kind of duped into this way of being. So forgiving yourself, but knowing that's not you. It's kind of like the shitty food is talking to us. It's not us. Like, we're controlled by the chocolate bar or the candy. Yeah, the sugar. It's got us all blocked up, but there's this us behind that's like, nah, dog, that ain't me. Like, there's this disconnect between the us that's back there, and such a good way to dissipate that disconnect and create that vitality and that just connect. The opposite of disconnect is just starts with food, just what you're putting in.
so I think we've reached a good point to go to each person and offer suggestion for what you can do, possible solutions, like suggestions for how to start promoting health and being healthy. Like, why don't you start, Tyler?
Going off experience, I'm gonna say, I mentioned before, just cut out soda. My number one.
Yeah.
It's an easy
I know.
thing.
Yeah, easy things. Just staying hydrated with water is one of the best ways to be healthy.
Yeah.
Another really good thing, I'll let you keep going, but I have to say this. Because water is like kind of boring for some people, so lemon water, adding lemons to your water, that's really good. It's a really good way to clean out all the shit in your body, and
Helps
it feels
mineralize
really
the
good.
water,
Yeah,
too.
if you drink lemon water in the morning, it feels really good.
I was gonna say, just also, I mean, you can have fast food every now and then, but like try to minimize it.
Yeah.
Cut, like if you're going to McDonald's 5 times a week, maybe like start with 3. I mean, you don't have to go cold turkey, but like maybe 3 and then 2 and then try to get to like, if you really have to have like McDonald's, or like I like Popeyes. Popeyes is good. Like, I like fried chicken. So like I'll go maybe like once every 2 weeks just because I love it a lot. But Try to cut out the fast food, all those greasy, oily foods, and also try to eat like regularly 3 times a day, because I feel like healthy foods, because that will like give you energy and make you feel better about yourself, not like skipping a bunch of meals, hungry all the time.
I'm gonna disagree a little bit. Which eat 3 times a day if you feel like you need to eat 3 times a day, because I don't think that's a bad thing to do, eating 3 times a day, but I think
especially if it's like really healthy food.
Yeah, definitely. But I think something we get too caught up in is the idea
That we have to eat.
Yeah, that we have to eat. Like it's dinner time, I have to eat. And recently I was, this past weekend, I felt like I was eating too impulsively. I was eating when I didn't have to eat. My brain just wanted stimulation, so I was like, oh, I'll eat these crackers. But I did a 3-day fast because of that. I felt like the bad food was talking to me more than my brain was speaking louder than my gut and my belly and what I actually needed. So I didn't eat for 3 days, and it was, by the third day, like, I still felt good. I didn't need to eat. Like you can go without eating, and I think when you do that, the kind of a reason for me doing that was to reset my brain a little bit, and because when you take out all this garbage and your body gets clear of that, the cravings you have become for what you actually need. So my point of all that is to tune in with your body and don't eat because your brain is just like wanting stimulation. Like, feel how your body feels. If you don't absolutely need to eat lunch or whatever meal, like, don't do it. But that's not to say you don't need to eat 3 meals a day every day, but just pay attention to your body. And that's kind of my suggestion also.
That's a good, yeah, that's good. Pay attention to your body. Yeah, cut out soda.
Yeah.
Eat 3 meals a day. Healthy meals. You don't have to cut everything out cold turkey. Just kind of summarizing what everybody said. Because for some people it's going to be a lot harder because they've been eating fast food their whole life. So,
like what we said earlier too, paying attention more to what you're adding in than to what you're taking out, because taking out is like kind of scary.
People feel like deprived.
Yeah, but just focus on adding more of the good stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't eat veggies every day, just get some veggies in every day.
I think something easy, instead of eating fast food, go to the grocery store and get one of those like things of like chicken like thighs, that you like have to cook it yourself. But then also get vegetables and make like a stir fry or something.
Yeah, that's a very easy solution. I mean, and it's not to say you have to do organic. It's just recommended that, just because not everybody can afford it right now anyway. It's just,
meats.
Everybody's different. Everybody's in different situations. So, it's just trying to maximize the amount of whole foods in your diet as much as possible, for your situation. Because also everybody's different. Like, there's something called bioindividuality, and some bodies are different than others. Some people need other things more than other people. Some people can thrive on just vegetables all the time. Some people can't. It's just a matter of how your body is made up. And you can see it, like all our bone structures are different. Like, we all have different predispositions and all that stuff. But I guess a suggestion for me would just be to experiment with it's really easy to just pick one vegetable and try to incorporate it into your diet.
I'm sure you'll like it.
Yeah, I mean, just try eating broccoli one night.
Carrots.
You can steam some broccoli and add it into your meal.
There's a cool meditation you can do too. It's good to do with whole foods because that it came out of the ground and stuff. But just thinking of all the things that happened before the food got to your plate or to your hand.
That's a good.
Think of that whole process and then feel the food and smell the food and then eat it. It kind of slows it down and it increases that appreciation. So something, if you're eating something like broccoli or tomato, like even though it's really simple, knowing everything that went behind it and what it is this living like ball of energy that will give you life, sustain your life, which is the idea of that is just so epic. And then savoring that food, it just increases your appreciation for food in general, and it makes you want to lean into doing that more because it feels so good. You can have one bite of a tomato and be like, whoa, like
Yeah.
this was good.
It's, yeah. I like what you said about the realize the steps of where that came from. Because a lot of the produce that we're eating nowadays is like came on a truck 1,000 miles away.
Yeah, that's another thing. If you can, ideally go to local markets and get food there, because there'll probably be a lot more small farmers growing the food, which is way better for the land than these huge monoculture farms growing a ton of one thing. And the food is way tastier.
Yeah.
The food
You
that
can
you
taste
get
the
at a
difference.
market, if it's organic, you don't, like you said, you don't have to go organic, but if you can, it tastes so much better. It tastes,
Yeah.
the food you get at a
You
market
can taste
versus
the
the food
difference.
you get at a grocery store that's conventionally grown, it's just such a big comparison. Some onions you get at the grocery store and you cut it and they don't make you cry. God,
Yeah.
I'm trying to cry when I cut it.
That's that literally shows the potency, because that reaction when you cut an onion, that is where the health benefits are. Like if you have a potent onion, then you know it's a super healthy onion. And
Honestly, I'm tearing up right now just thinking about cutting.
yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, onions are so good for you. Okay. Well, do you guys have anything else? I feel like we've reached a good point.
Yeah, that was a good talk. I hope you guys like it.
We really squashed it.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
squashing
that's
here.
the big thing. We're trying to squash misconceptions, get down to
What's
What's-
real?
what's
Like,
really
what's
going
really
on.
going on here? Like,
yeah.
There's so much.
Which we're
Crazy
sick. We want to be
bullshit
healthy
happening.
and we can be healthy. We have a lot of misconceptions.
Choose health.
Yeah.
Choose health,
I
because in
think-
this country you can choose health.
One more thing, as well as eating healthy, another way to having a healthy life is being active, like you said.
Yeah.
So
Exercise.
even exercising like 3 times a day for 15 minutes, I read, can extend your life like 7 years.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
over time, just
Mhm.
always like go on a run, hit the gym, like play a sport. It doesn't
Just
matter.
walk outside.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
just
walk.
like,
outside.
Walk.
Just
Anything.
Any
Like,
exercise along
we
with
were
a
meant
healthy
to-
diet gives you a better life.
Yeah, we were meant to move.
Mhm.
Humans are not supposed to be
In
sedentary.
nature too. If you can get out somewhere in nature,
Be around trees.
that alone is such a healing thing. Take a walk through the woods and see how healthy that forest is. Forest, ideally, like an untouched forest. That's what I say. Untouched is healthy. It's found in natural balance, and we can have that balance within us too. We can have this harmony in us if we're healthy as well, and we all crave that. So let's make it happen, dog.
Squash it.
Do it.
Mm-hmm. Doses.